Hello everybody and welcome back to Rated E for Entertainment. Today's video is going to be on The Walking Dead Season 8 Episode 9, my thoughts and my review on it. We are back, guys, with The Walking Dead. Last episode we had was the mid-season finale. We were back with the mid-season premiere, which was, I believe, in the middle of December we left off. With some pretty major stuff, and we are back for the last few episodes of this season. Right here rounding up. And this episode we have, the continuation of Carl, kind of the end of his journey, which was being promoted throughout, the marathon that they had throughout this weekend. This is very much, Carl's end. They were making that prominent from the promotion and everything like that, and just from the opening scenes with this episode, it was just, you can tell it was prominent that Carl was not making out of this alive. So with the opening few shots, we get, Rick, another one of those visions, kind of flashback scenes, with him, having the beard and being older and stuff with Judith and everything. We don't know, at the beginning of the episode, I had no clue, maybe what this was. I did have some theories and everything like that, but overall I just didn't know what it was going to do, and I did not think that they were going to, make that theory come to a fruition in this episode. But the opening scene, we then move into, some great acting, but very heartbreaking and sad moment. We get to see, back with Carl and everybody, Alexandria down in the sewers. And he is looking not good. Carl is looking very sick, and you can tell that he's not making it through the end of this episode. You can tell that he's kind of, we then move into how he got bit, which I still absolutely hate that scene where he got bit by those walkers saving, Sadiq. I hate that scene. It just was so poorly shot, and just everything about it was bad. But then we get to see, Carl kind of, coming to at peace with himself, and, realizing that he got bit, and just doing a bunch of different stuff, playing with Judith, writing letters in case he never saw, Rick and them again. That was a nice little moment that I really enjoyed. Then we move on to Morgan. We get to see Morgan before the mid-season finale. We have Morgan, who is up in the sniper spot. We get to see how the Saviors eventually get out of their situation. And this cool scene where he gets shot at and he's doing like this army crawl. I really like that. So he eventually escapes there. Next we have just Rick and Michonne. You can just tell how destroyed they were, but when, throughout this entire episode, just their acting was on point. I really, really loved it. The emotion was there. Then we move on to Morgan and Carol trying to save Ezekiel, who was still at the kingdom, which the kingdom is taken over by some of the Saviors. Like I said, Alexandria is still stuck in the sewers. As Alexandria is still getting blown up, we can hear as they're stuck in the sewers. I really like that little nod, and you just hear the explosion and everything. I really like that. Then as Morgan and Carol are infiltrating the kingdom, killing people, you can just see Morgan is still bloodthirsty. She wants to kill every Savior. And throughout this episode, you can tell Morgan is just so bloodthirsty, and I really, really, really like that. Eventually, oh, and one other thing I wanted to talk about was just the way that they're dealing with Carl and his death overall right now. He's not so much a character, he just feels like a plot point to push Rick. Throughout this entire series we've gotten, should they kill, should they not kill, and, it just feels like Carl's death is kind of like, this whole thing where he's like, Rick, you can't always kill, the world has to become something sooner or later, and it just feels like he's not so much of a character. He feels like he's a plot point to push the story forward, and I wish that it was done differently. However, this episode, when he eventually comes to his demise, I really liked kind of. Oh, sorry about that. I really like how, everything was handled in the end when he eventually kills himself. So, like I said, there's kind of good and bad with it. And for a character like Carl to be here from season 1, episode 3, I believe, to this season, I just never thought that he would have, been killed off this soon. Eventually, Ezekiel is saved by Carol and Morgan in this kind of poorly shot scene when they're saving him. However, there is this awesome scene when Morgan rips this guy's intestines out. That was awesome. And then we get a scene where Morgan is hunting down that one savior guy in this kind of like Jason style where he's like dragging his stick in the mud. I really, really enjoyed that. Eventually, the savior guy is killed by a kid. I forget the kid who Morgan was training, who died eventually last season, I believe. His brother eventually kills that savior guy. We eventually learn that the flashback/dreams with Rick and Judith are kind of Carl's depiction of what the future was going to be like. I really like that. I really like how they kind of blended that together, and how, from the beginning of the season, those visions and everything, and how, ultimately it was just Carl just imagining what the future was like. I really enjoyed that. Eventually, Carl has to say goodbye to a few people. I really did not like that he got more of a goodbye with Siddiq than he did Daryl. I felt like that was really weird. Carl's goodbyes to Michonne, when he said, "You're my best friend," that just tore me apart. I cried throughout this entire episode. Rick eventually takes Carl to the church, where they have this amazing scene together, and he says he did everything for Carl, and Carl's just distraught and very sick, and eventually he has to shoot himself, which that scene where they're outside of the church and you hear the silenced pistol shoot, just gut-wrenching. Throughout this episode, I really enjoyed the Carl stuff and everything like that, but overall, I don't know what's going to happen for moving forward with the show. Carl being dead, just kind of being a plot point. I didn't like that, but we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the season. Like I said, I really enjoyed Carl's end of his journey. I really wish he didn't die. But, we'll see how the season progresses and everything like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and share the video. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at rated_E_4_entertainment, and on Twitter at rated_E1. I have to do my Flash review coming out either tomorrow or today. Be on the lookout for that video and more videos to come. And I'll see you guys in the next one.